This broadcast is presented by Currency. For more details, visit gocurrency.com. By Liberty First Credit Union, banking with purpose. And by Tom Dinsdale Automotive. Find us on the web at dinsdaleauto.com.
Good evening and welcome to Grand Island for this special presentation of high school sports on News Channel Nebraska. I'm Michael Shively. Brandon Axman will be joining us shortly. We're your broadcast crew getting ready for the Central Nebraska El Clasico. It doesn't get much better than this in Class A boys high school soccer. It's a rivalry for the ages. It's a beautiful evening and there's high stakes when these two opponents clash here in Grand Island. These teams are entering this contest off of victories. Kearney is 6-4 on the season. They are the road team tonight. Grand Island is 4-4, fresh off a victory at Lincoln High, trying to continue their winning ways in this rivalry matchup. These Central Nebraska foes know each other well, whether it's basketball, football, soccer, name the activity, quiz bowl, pick what your choice is. They are rivals. Whether you're a Woj person or a walk person, this means more. Both coaches, they're eager to acknowledge it, and they like the added motivation for their squads entering this. But even if this weren't a rivalry that has a cup on the line, it still has other stakes on the line. The winner of this game will be in the gold pool for the Heartland Athletic Conference tournament. So you're playing against the best in your conference tournament once that arrives here in the coming days. It's about the midway point, just past the midway point of the high school soccer season. Both of these teams hoping they found their identity and that it leads to an entertaining, high-level matchup here tonight at Memorial Fields. Let's talk about your key players. Grand Island hosting Kearney. And we'll start with the home side. Grand Island's, their top scorer is senior Moises Troches. 5 goals on the year. That's half of his team's goals. So a guy that is the focal point of this offense. He's a forward. He's a senior. He's been doing it for years for Coach James Panowitz and even Coach Jensen before that. Kearney, no doubt, has him circled on the scouting report, and they're going to try to slow down Moises Troches. On the Kearney side, Colt Straka, he's the top goal scorer, but we're going to highlight Gordy Garner today. The reason why, the sophomore, he is a 2-year starter, plays midfield, but Coach Scott Steinbrook has moved him up top. They're trying to get him involved more in the attack. The offense largely centered around Colt Straka. 9 goals on the season for him of their 20. They want to get Gordy Garner more involved. 2 goals on the season. We'll see if Garner can get more active today. Those are your key players. We set up the stage with this rivalry matchup. It is beautiful. Wind blowing 7 to 12 miles an hour. Temperature in the mid-60s. Doesn't get a whole lot better than this. When we return, we'll take a peek at your school spotlight. Brandon will join us and we'll prepare you for kickoff. It's Kearney and Grand Island in the Central Nebraska El Clasico on News Channel Nebraska.
A new year, a fresh start, a resolution to grow more, gain more, give more. The process is the same: plant, grow, harvest. But the way you do it is always evolving. And so are we, Aurora Cooperative. Grow, gain, give. Aurora and you.
Join in the next generation of great health at Columbus Fieldhouse, because strong families are vital to a strong community. With the region's most state-of-the-art facility, there's room for fitness, fun, and friends. There's space for all sports: tennis, football, soccer, volleyball, basketball, or golf. Or lace up to try out the track. And on-site services provided by Columbus Community Hospital keep you in the best shape. Be a part of something extraordinary and join us today in taking the next step to a stronger future.
New home on the horizon? Loan it to own it. Need a new car to keep you moving? Loan it to own it. Looking for a new adventure? Loan it to own it with Liberty First Credit Union. Liberty First Credit Union is there for every step of your journey. Anyone can join to receive low payments and fixed rates to help get you through every new milestone. When you're ready to own it, loan it through Liberty First Credit Union.
Pre-game show is brought to you by Custom Sports. Look great for every game with custom team or business apparel from Custom Sports. Check them out at CustomSportsCo.com. NCN Sports is sponsored by Husker Rehab, treating the cause of pain, not just the symptoms. Schaefer's, we are more than just TVs and appliances. Clayball Pharmacy, your locally owned hometown pharmacy.
And welcome back to Grand Island Senior High. Brandon Axman, Michael Shively with you here on News Channel Nebraska. Tuesday night soccer, Central Nebraska El Clasico. This matchup is brought to you by Nebraska Public Power District, always there when you need them. Let's jump right into our school spotlight. Brought to you by Currency, which makes financing quick, easy, and secure for machinery, ag equipment, and more. Visit GoCurrency.com. So we're getting ready for the starting lineups, as well as 6-4 Kearney prepares to clash with 4-4 Grand Island. These rivals usually create fireworks when they match up, and this is a big mid-season matchup for both programs. So starters, first off for Grand Island and the home team. A lot of tinkering since what Coach James Panowitz labeled as perhaps one of the worst losses in Grand Island soccer program history. A little over a week ago, they fell to undefeated Southwest 11-1 in a mercy rule. As for Kearney, they started out this season dropping their first 3, but they've won 6 of their past 7. Not a lot has changed since the last time out in their 5-1 victory over Schuyler. We talked about Straka leading the line in this 4-3-3. Garner also someone that Coach Steinbrook's wanting to get involved, but Straka in the top 10 in Class A for goals scored. 9 goals, 2 assists. You have Schwartz at that center attacking mid. Harder and Eklund, the 2 defensive mids, and then the back line of Nutter, Krotzel, Colds, Randolph, and Hibbard, the longtime keeper between the sticks for this Bearcat team. Scott Steinbrook, the head coach, talk about a veteran of the game, a quarter century at the helm of the Bearcats program and highly respected around the state. A man knows his basketball as well, but he knows this rivalry better than anybody else. This one means a lot to both programs, especially to the coach that's been here 25 years.
Words that he used earlier today to describe this: it'll be hotly contested, spirited, a lot on the line, all the things you'd expect from a rivalry as they prepare to take on the Islanders, a team sitting at 4-4. Haven't really gotten to a rhythm this season. They win one, they drop one, win one, drop one. We referenced that very bad Lincoln Southwest loss a week ago yesterday. They did bounce back with a victory over Lincoln High. In that game, Michael, they shifted a lot of pieces around. So what you're seeing here in this starting 11, different from the 4-3-3 they used to run, and they have moved players. Trocious now leading the line. The big one, Johnny Pedroza, one of their main attacking weapons. He's now playing left back, but he will still be able to offer support from the back line in the attack.
Well, James Panowitz described that 10-goal defeat as demoralizing and shameful. When you are comfortable enough to use that strong of language describing an outcome of a game, you're plenty comfortable changing things up. And I think the team understands that, and through one game, they responded. It makes it tough if you're Kearney. This is a different look than most of the film you have, But still, if you're Grand Island, this isn't something you're super used to with the formation and the personnel. It'll be fascinating to see how it plays out.
Transitive property as well. It's not always a perfect science, but when Kearney was working things out, they dropped their first 3 games. One of those losses was to Lincoln High, and it was by a score of 4-1. The game that Grand Island bounced back from that Southwest loss was against Lincoln High, a 2-1 victory. We're going to pause for the national anthem. Get ready for kickoff here in Grand Island on NCN.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman. I love it. Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
We're definitely coming back in the future.
We have a wedding band to buy. So.
We do, yes. The wedding bands will be back for that.
Starter Heyman Jewelers, downtown 12th and O, South Point Pavilions, and Grand Island.
Does your business need quick, competitive financing for heavy machinery, trucks, or other equipment? Currency is here to help. Whether you're financing construction equipment, farm equipment, trucks, trailers, or any other big-ticket item, Currency will automatically find the best rates. Currency facilitates loans for up to $500,000 with repayment terms up to 72 months. It's fast, easy, and free to use. Visit gocurrency.com and apply today.
NCN Sports is brought to you by Western Oil, your first and last stop to and from the game. By USafe Pharmacy, dedicated to the well-being of all our customers. And by Zollner Ford Lincoln, proud to be your local Ford and Lincoln dealer. NCN Sports is sponsored by Nutrien. For healthier crops and stronger yields, count on Nutrien Ag Solutions. And by Sorensen Group. From residential to commercial projects, Sorensen Group turns your visions into reality. Call Andrew today.
Welcome back to Grand Island. We are moments away from kickoff for this storied rivalry between these two programs that are separated by about 40 miles right down Interstate 80. Central Nebraska El Clasico, Michael Shively. You know, if for those who are soccer fans, Barcelona, Real Madrid, it's called the El Clasico, one of the most fierce rivalries in all of world soccer. These two local teams putting a twist on that and, you know, signifying just how big of a game this is to everyone involved.
Well, in 2019, they added an actual trophy. There's a cup that the winning program comes away with. So if it wasn't already bragging rights being enough, now there's an actual cup that you get to take if you win the Central Nebraska El Clasico. And it's a cup that's lived in Buffalo County each of the last 4 times these teams have played. Actually, they've been the only program that's won it because they didn't play in 2020. 2018, the last time Grand Island beat Kearney regular season matchup. That one was 1-0. The last 3 matches between these foes decided by just 1 goal each.
The cup, as mentioned, started in 2019. Coach Scott Steinbrook and former Grand Island head coach Jeremy Jensen said, you know what? We should raise the stakes of this already highly contested game, and it was their brainchild to create what we are now enjoying as the Central Nebraska El Clasico, as Kearney wastes no time on the attack and has earned an early corner here, which has been Grand Island's downfall this season, according to Coach Panowitz, giving up set-piece goals, and it's one of Kearney's specialties.
And we get to see that play out right here in the first minute. See which team can set the tone.
Dangerous ball sent into the back post, headed away by Pedroza. So Grand Island dealing with its first test very early on. Coach Panowitz said we're going to need to be switched on at all times. Thinks that perhaps while Kearney's playing with its strength with that set-piece corner, could be a chance to counter and potentially strike back. That is what Coach Panowitz saw in film as potentially a vulnerability of the Bearcats.
Oh, Bearcats known as a defensive team, but they're trying to be aggressive to open up this contest. They know if they play with the lead, it's going to be really hard for a team like Grand Island, just 10 goals on the season, to come from behind. right off of the referee, middle of the field. Well, excited to see Grand Island out here, Brandon. We talked in the pregame about that 11-1 thrashing at the hands of Lincoln Southwest. That was 8 days ago, and a bad April Fool's joke for Islanders fans who are used to seeing one of the top programs in the state with lots of wins. But is it a wake-up call for this Islanders bunch trying to take that momentum from a 2-1 win at Lincoln High? Heck of a chance there for Straka, and that's the guy you need to keep an eye on. We talked about Gordy Garner. He's going to be pushing up a lot more than normal in this match, but Colt Straka, he does the bulk of the goal scoring, 9 goals on the year for Kearney.
And you had the Islanders almost answering back with a chance to counter. That back line of Kearney intercepting the through ball, so an open game here early in the first few minutes. As this one's dropped back, and nice job there by keeper Roberts to come off his line.
Now, Coach Panowitz says we can't give away goals in a match like this, and when you're moving the ball back like that, it's the right play a lot of the time, but you better be careful with it, because if it gets intercepted, that's a problem for the Islanders. Heck of a tackle.
Cleanly won by Eklund. Kearney looking to counter. Intercepted on the other end. Kelvin Castillo, the freshman on the Grand Island back line, was in the right spot. Coach Panowitz extremely excited about what Castillo has in store for him for not only this year but the next 3. Just a youngster. And a chance to cross it in, gets away from the Islander and goes out for a goal kick.
Well, you can't really ask for a better setting. We have as good of a matchup as you could want. A couple of 4-loss teams that really need a victory, but it's gorgeous. Phenomenal weather. Sun's out. Memorial Field as good as it gets in Class A for whatever sport you're playing here.
This is sort of what you envision in Nebraska when you think of spring sports. It just usually takes that 2 or 3 weeks to get here. We had our baseball game in Hastings called off because of the extreme wind advisory on Saturday, and we've broadcasted some soccer games specifically in Columbus that have been much cooler than this up to this point.
If you remember back a couple years ago, Brandon, we were on the call for this matchup in Kearney 2022. It was 80 degrees and a 40-mile-an-hour wind. It was silly. The wind affected it so much, you could really only score going one direction. Not going to be the case tonight.
Now, flags barely waving. The weather report, gusts of maybe up to 10 at most. So, to your point, beautiful soccer weather here on this Tuesday night, 5 minutes in. 0-0, Grand Island and Kearney here in the Central Nebraska El Clasico. And again, Kearney playing excellent soccer after dropping its first 3 games of the season. Losses to Southwest, again, perennially one of the best in the state, always a state title contender. Then followed that up with losses to Lincoln High and Papillion. La Vista, that was at the Kearney invite. Coach Steinbrook said, you know, we brought back some good experience, but still a lot of youngsters, and part of that was the learning curves, dropping those first 3, but he feels like those youngsters are now growing into themselves, and you have to do it quickly in this condensed spring sports season in Nebraska, but the results speak for themselves when you've won 6 of your last 7.
Yeah, 6 or 7 starters back, and most coaches would probably take that, but of those, only 4 are seniors. So there's still a lot of underclassmen while they do have some experience, and Kearney has rounded into form. That lone loss, a shootout loss rather, to Lincoln East. And if ball had bounced a little differently there, then you could be looking at a team that had won 7 in a row, but still 6 out of 7.
That set piece by Eklund goes to Roberts. But again, you cannot switch off even for a second when their set pieces being held by Kearney. That is something that head coach Scott Steinbrook has emphasized for that quarter century while he's been at Kearney. They maximize every opportunity they can. And we haven't quite seen it yet, but they have the ability to do that long throw when the ball goes out of touch near the corner kick. They will have a specialist who will throw it in. Sometimes it'll be a flip throw, but it basically serves as a corner, and it's something that's sort of been a staple of Kearney soccer.
I'll mention that Coach Steinbrook, former basketball coach at Kearney High as well, and take that set piece and just picture it as an out-of-bounds play out of a timeout. You know, like UConn with Danny Hurley running last night to perfection repeatedly. They scored off of so many of those, and he takes the opportunity of the set piece to run a play, and he's as good as anybody in the state.
Islanders finding a little bit of space here in the middle, but only momentarily, as Slaymaker with the solid tackle. Back in Islander possession. Cleared out by the Bearcats.
A JV game earlier, 1-0. Home team victorious. Hotly contested. You saw a lot of skill in that JV game even.
Again, both of these schools and programs very proud when it comes to soccer. And Grand Island, a program that very often has upwards of 100 people that try out, as Kearney is deadly and a great save, but Islanders not out of trouble yet. Roberts gets in front of Straka and denies him the 10th goal of the season.
And Kevin Castillo, after the keeper Roberts came out, had the initial denial, Straka had another chance at it, and it was Kevin Castillo, the freshman left center back, that got that stop afterwards to prevent the second try by Straka. Terrific defense, team defense by the Islanders.
Coach Panowitz earlier this week said that he really likes what Roberts has been offering between the sticks. Said if there was an area he could improve, be more decisive when coming off the line. And Michael, we saw that there. He made the right decision, came out, and ultimately keeps this thing level here as we near the 10-minute mark.
Straka 1-on-2, and then the keeper back there as well. And you think the Islanders have the numbers, but Straka's as lethal as it gets in Class A, one of the top goal scorers. And he showed why, getting some great chances, but thwarted by that strong Islander defense. You got to love the push, though, if you're Scott Steinbrook. It didn't net yourself a goal, but that's the right idea. Get the ball in Straka's hand, give him some space to work. A couple more tries like that, and you have to think he'll find the back of the net.
Certainly the best chance by either team here early on in this one. Grand Island yet to create what you consider a solid opportunity, as the Bearcats are unable to counter their pass a little bit too far out in front of Slaymaker.
Possession on the side of the Bearcats. Certainly chances as well. First 10 minutes.
Well, here's Colson trying to charge forward, and they're unable to find the wing making the run.
$20 goals for Kearney on the year, 13 allowed. There's Straka, got past that first defender. Terrific move there with his left foot, blocked by Roberts. Castillo really made the play there after Roberts' fantastic move as the keeper. And you got to give the freshman tons of credit, staying with that play, not going to sleep on it after that initial block.
That replay brought to you by Beatrice Community Hospital. Incredible care, incredibly close, and my, oh my, talk about incredibly close. Slaymaker just unable to get on top of that. Mid-volley, here's another look, just sails it high.
Terrific ball coming in by Straka. Put it right where he wanted. Slaymaker, 2 goals on the year. Could have got that leg up just a bit more, might have had his third.
So the Bearcats creating some significant chances here early. We're just past 10 minutes in of the Central Nebraska El Clasico. Reminder, this coverage is presented by Liberty First Credit Union, banking with purpose. Find out more at libertyfirstcu.com. It's also presented by Tom and Dinsdale Automotive, which is a proud community-driven business here in the Tri-Cities, as that one goes all the way to Hibbard. And this ball does stay in, rolls down the line.
Ooh.
And you like the confidence there by Roberts.
It makes you flinch a second if you're an Islander fan.
You know, and there is a theory behind, it's called playing out of the back. Not sure if that's what Coach Panowitz wants the Islanders and Roberts to do, but the theory is if you can deal with the pressure as that shot goes high, you force the team to move forward, and then if you can make that pass, you create more space to work with when you try to counter. But it's a risk-reward situation that you have to weigh.
And a team finding its identity this year, what do? Do you play it safe or do you play it aggressive? This is a rivalry match. You're not the favored team. I think you have to play it aggressive if you're the Islanders, and I think that could be a way to interpret that play just a moment ago.
Ball now at the feet of Schwarz. He swings it to the far side of the field. Islanders win it back. And you have...
There's the whistle.
Offsides looks like is the call there. 27 minutes and change remaining in this first half. That's brought to you by John Henry's, our family serving yours. John Henry's our first half sponsor.
I'm talking about aggression with the back line of Grand Island there, but it has been the Bearcats who have been the aggressor here in the first 13-plus minutes, no doubt about that. And if you're Coach Steinbrook, you're likely saying keep that pressure on, see if you can turn it into a goal.
That goes off the head of Straka. Felt a Slaymaker. Grand Island again dealing with the threat of the set piece from the Bearcats, at least for the time being. Chance to potentially counter. Good pressure there by the Bearcats Colts, forcing the Islanders to reset.
Okay, Grand Island keeps some possession here. They've really struggled to get it into their side of the 50.
Now Slaymaker trying to find space in the middle of the pitch. Grand Island wins it back. Pass there from Pedroza, nearly intercepted. Strong play here from Colson as he tries to bomb forward. And goes down. Looks like the Islanders will have a free kick awarded.
A pretty good crowd here in Grand Island, and they like the whistle coming out there. Chance for their squad in goal-scoring territory. It's something we haven't really seen much from the Islanders in the last 10 minutes of action. One thing to note about Kearney, they do play physical. There will be some stoppages related to that. That's just how they play.
So Thatcher Panowitz, son of Coach James Panowitz, will take the free kick here.
Players dealing with some sun in their eyes right now.
Going towards the back post, and it sails just high of its target.
Now the structure here, the press box, get another look at this rifle. Lots of velocity on that ball. Would have been really tough for the keeper to adjust to if a head found that ball because of the speed at which it was traveling. The structure here makes it so the front portion of the field right now in shadows, the entire middle section on towards the benches in shadows, but right now both goals in the sunshine and the far quadrants as well illuminated, and depending how you're looking, you might be looking right at it if you're looking towards us in the press box.
We're now 15 minutes in, still scoreless. Potential opportunity here for the Islanders, and it's dealt with well by Colts. But if you're just joining us, the Bearcats have created 2 to 3 really good chances, the best coming from Straka, where it forced Roberts off his line. He saved it and then was helped out by his buddy off of the deflection to clear it out in Castillo. Grand Island, you would probably say, feels pretty fortunate, or should feel fortunate, to not be down at least a goal currently. And they're starting to grow into this game a little more and creating a little bit more opportunities in their attacking third the past 5 minutes or so.
That was Pedro Ventura, the sophomore. whistled for the foul there, and Bearcats will set something up again. We've hammered that talking point of this being a strength of theirs.
Jake Krotzel has more than enough leg. Might remember the name or notice the name as the Kearney Bearcats field goal kicker from this fall. It was no problem for him to send that one into the box, but again, Roberts was there to deal with it.
If Coach Cool of the football team is watching, he'd like to see that one sail the length it did. That game, a regular season game, will be in Kearney this year, not at Memorial Field like it was this year.
If I'm remembering it correctly, too, Krotzel was our player of the game from the Grand Island Kearney football matchup, the regular season matchup.
Yes.
There was two.
Yeah, and Grand Island got the last laugh in the postseason, upsetting Kearney in their building. And certainly some football players out here playing soccer as well. And even if they aren't, they know the history during these programs. And every win means more when it's these two going against each other.
Free kick awarded to the Islanders here, just beyond midfield. That goes off the head of Troches and harmlessly to Hibbert.
The first time we said Troches' name, we'll see that foul and defense applied by Braden Coates. But Troches, the ball hasn't been on their side, so he hasn't had touches. But I feel like we need to have said his name more than just that once so far. You're dynamic offensive player, you're senior leader. I'm sure Coach Panowitz encouraging the Islanders to try to find Moises and see if he can at least keep some possession for the Islanders, try to make a play, flip the momentum of this game, which belongs with the Bearcats.
Well, and that would indicate that head coach Scott Steinbrook's game plan so far is being implemented as he would have liked. He said, you know, Grand Island has a lot of good players. Troches is elite, and we need to know where he is at all times and really focus on shutting him down. And to your point, he hasn't done much yet.
Nice job by Slaymaker keeping that ball in. Couldn't, though, thanks to some strong defense coming up. Kevin Castillo again. Lots of meaningful time for him, a young player for Coach Panowitz. Performed well.
Now Straka with it, trying to create space. Now Panowitz, he has room to work with. Bearcats allowing him space. And that's Colson who wins it back. There is Troches. Trying to switch the field. And good job again, defense by the Bearcats. Nutter was there, and Slaymaker clears it.
Well, the possession has been with Kearney, but that's not necessarily their game. They're incredibly comfortable playing defense. And an enormous chunk of their offense comes when they defend well and then counter. They've been the aggressor. Ball has been in their control this almost entire match. And defense right now, maybe they could turn that into a counter. That's really what their strength is. I hope they competed with themselves there.
Yeah, to that point, Coach Panowitz talked about, you know, he said some people may call what Kearney does parking the buses. Here's a dangerous ball in, and again, Hibbard's there, and parking the bus is where typically it's when a team that knows it's outmatched will basically keep their own 10 people on their defensive half of the pitch and hope to just maybe find one chance throughout the game where you absorb pressure, don't give the team that's better than you an opportunity, and maybe you get one chance or two chances to capitalize and score a goal. He said, this is not what Kearney does. They're not parking the bus. They're very strategic in what they do, and yes, they They counter when it makes sense when the other team has bodies forward, and they're so good at it, and they've really made their living over Steinbrook's tenure as that being their bread and butter. Another set piece going in, bouncing around and cleared out by the Islanders momentarily. Now here's a chance for a Grand Island to counter potentially.
Give Trochez tons of credit there. We've talked about his attacking prowess. He came in, the Bearcats thought they were going to have a chance. I believe it was Ethan Harder there in the middle of the field trying to rifle one. He really took his time to build up. It looked like he was going to try that shot from 30 yards or so. And Trochez came back from that attacking position and affected it, won the possession for the Islanders, and denied a chance for the Bearcats.
Slaymaker drops it off. Kearney being methodical here, trying to create space, and that will be a foul. Free kick here for the Bearcats from about 47 yards out, dead on.
Is Coben Colson for Grand Island coming up and making some contact with the Bearcats who had possession.
Deflects off a couple of Kearney heads and out for a goal kick. We're 17 minutes out from our halftime show, brought to you by Columbus Community Hospital, where your health is their top priority. Be sure to stay tuned for highlights, stats, and analysis at the break. Trochez running on, forcing pressure, and Coates does a nice job under that pressure. Now to Harder. And it'll be a Kearney throw. Straka with some room to work with. Finds Slaymaker on the through ball. Slaymaker with the left foot, and once again Roberts is called on, and he answers that call.
Once again, a quality chance for the Bearcats, unable to turn it into a goal. You get Slaymaker, a sophomore, with his left foot that time. Pretty good chance. Great work by Roberts. He's kept his head to him this whole match.
And those ones that are low and hard, tough to get to as a keeper. And again, Roberts dealt with it. As we are just under 16 remaining here in the first half. 0-0. This game is presented by Currency. If you need financing for RVs, ATVs, or other expensive items, Currency is here to help. Visit gocurrency.com today. Central Nebraska El Clasico here in Grand Island. Tuesday night soccer on News Channel Nebraska. Brandon Axmet, Michael Shively with you. Beautiful weather for this rivalry matchup mid-season. Something else we haven't hit on yet, the HAC Heartland Athletic Conference Tournament Championship. We'll be broadcasting that on NCN next week. This game has a lot of implications because a new format. You know, back in the day, 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was just a tournament that everyone in the conference got to enter in, as Grand Island has a chance here and a free kick awarded. There's no longer an open tournament, but 4 different 4-team brackets based on your points throughout the season up to this point. And what I'm getting at is the top bracket, the top 4 pool, it's called the gold pool, that gets to play for that championship. A spot is on the line. If Kearney wins, they are guaranteed to be able to play in that top gold bracket of the HAC tournament next week. If they lose, they're out. It's the same situation for Grand Island. Should they win tonight, they will be able to play for that gold bracket HAC tournament championship next week.
Kearney sitting 16th in wild card points right now. A team that has missed out on the state tournament by the narrowest possible margins in consecutive seasons. And sitting 16th right now, that's setting yourself up to really have a challenging district. They need to move up in the point standings to give themselves as good of a chance as they can have at making the state tournament, something that's eluded a proud program in recent seasons. This is one of those chances to really make a dent and move up those standings out of 16th. If you can get close towards that top 10, gives yourself a really good chance in a district final potential matchup, albeit on the road. Grand Island a couple spots ahead right now. They're in 14th, so despite having fewer wins, they've also played fewer games. You know, they have high hopes as well.
Islander victories this season started off with a victory over Northeast 2-0, then dropped one to Central 2-3 in overtime. Bounced back with a quality win over Columbus. That was a 1-0 victory, then dropped one to Scott. There's sort of a ping pong effect. Then they beat North Star. Then they dropped two, one to West Side and one to Southwest in that 11-1 defeat. A very tough 2 games during that stretch. Most recently, though, they rebounded, getting their 4th win of the season at Lincoln High. On the flip side for Kearney, opening 3 losses: Southwest, Lincoln High, Papillion, La Vista. Then they won 6 of their last 7. Northeast, North Platte, Columbus, Buena Vista, and Lincoln North Star before dropping their most recent one to Lincoln East. That was in a shootout, and the last time out, they defeated Schuyler as Grand Island sends a dangerous ball in. Hibbard once again there.
Now some of the better offensive work by Grand Island. Were able to control possession for a good minute plus. Their side of the pitch. Put a nice ball in there, but good defense by Kearney. Looking at those schedules, Brandon. Kearney, 2 shootout defeats. It's been a snake-bitten program. That's been a trend that's continued this season. And if they had those wins against Papillion, La Vista, and Lincoln East, we would be looking at, instead of 16th in wildcard standings, that could boost them 4 or 5 spots in the standings that were just decided by shootouts.
For those unfamiliar, the high school soccer format in Nebraska, if you're tied after regulation, you're playing 2 10-minute periods of overtime. Doesn't matter if someone scores or not. It's not sudden death. You play 20 bonus minutes of soccer, 2 10-minute overtime halves. If you're still tied, then you go to that shootout.
And in your standings, a loss is a loss. It's not like the net standings in college hoops where they take margin of victory, overtimes into account. Your loss counts the same regardless of the margin of victory. So even though Kearney has an aggregate scoring this year of 20-13, they still have to rely on that 6-4 record and who those games are against. Lots of contact there. Chance for the Bearcats from 36 yards out.
That Islander back line dealing with the threat again. So up to this point, Coach Panowitz said we're going to have to not give up corners and set pieces, and that has been the case up to this point as we are still scoreless, nearing a half hour played here at Grand Island.
You got to like where you're at if you're Grand Island. Yeah, Kearney has been the aggressor and has been in control of this match, but it's still scoreless. If you can go into half with this still scoreless, or even steal a goal, perhaps, if you're the Islanders, that's an awesome place to be in if you're Coach Panowitz.
There was the long throw attempt. Here's the potential counter by the Islanders. This is who you want with it, Troches, and that is what you call excellent defending. Coates taking on the Islanders' best on a one-on-one duel and winning.
Well, Braden Coates, a junior, is a first-year varsity starter, but a tall, physical, great athlete.
Troches tried to cross it across that 6-yard box. Hibbard aware and takes the cross away.
No panic from the Bearcats at all.
All the makings of the best opportunity for Grand Island up to that point. It looked extremely promising. They had numbers, but again, an amazing individual effort by Coates as Grand Island turning up the pressure a little bit here. Kearney still trying to get out of their third. And a shot from distance on the volley goes wide. That was Davalos who gave it a crack.
Oh, you love Coates being a soccer player, also a state medalist in tennis. So you use the foot-eye coordination in soccer, the hand-eye coordination in tennis, and I don't have good coordination in either. He's out here excelling in both.
I think that just, what you're trying to say is he's a pretty decent athlete, well-rounded.
Coordinated man.
Here's a great chance for the Islanders, and they are on top. Kearney Kearney unable to clear, and GI strikes first. And who else but Moises Troches. His 6th goal of the season, this one coming in the 32nd minute. Off of a goal kick, Michael.
Well, that huge header there from the 40-yard line. And then a wide open look. Troches isn't going to miss those. And credit that first touch from the head. And you're 50 yards away from the goal at what's marked as the 40 on this football field. And that header for the Islanders, I missed who the midfielder was that got his noggin on it, but he sent that another 20 yards into the offensive third, and a nice touch pass to wide open Troches, knew what to do with it.
And that's Johnny Pedroza with the assist. So an attacker moved back to the back line for this game. Now they do have him on that left wing currently, and he's showing Coach Panowitz, hey, Coach, remember when I used to play up top? Maybe keep me back up here.
Look at that extra energy in the step of the Islanders after that. If you're the Bearcats, you can't let one goal get you twice. In 8 minutes, see if the Bearcats turn up the pressure. Try to get it on their attacking side more frequently. On the road, team that now has all the confidence in the world despite a slow start in Grand Island.
And you have to give the Islanders credit as well, as here's a threatening opportunity for Kearney. As you mentioned, the Bearcats in the driver's seat for the good majority of that first 10 or 15 minutes. They've still been in control, but slowly but surely the Islanders sort of took on the waves of pressure, created a few more chances as this half has progressed, and then pouncing onto the air there on that goal kick and seizing the opportunity. And while Kearney could feel like it should have a goal, maybe two, it is the Islanders who have the 1-0 lead and are looking to counter here again. And here they come. Colson battling and goes down. It's outside the box, so it won't be a penalty kick, but a free kick.
Aiden Nutter just surrendered there and gave a shove right in front of our camera. And there's the shove. Obvious one there, and just trying to slow things down, get his defense back to help him up or help him out and catch their breaths. Try to deny the Islanders what could be an excellent chance at a second goal in a matter of a few minutes.
And that goes off Slaymaker. Islanders with the corner.
That was Christian Hernandez, the junior for Grand Island, who was taking that kick. And he'll stay out there and he'll attempt this corner as well.
That one going to the back post. Finds a head, finds a second. And it finds the back of the net. The Islanders playing pinball in the box. And just like that, it's 2-0. Was that Troches again?
And it is Troches. And, unfortunately for Kearney, you got to give the assist to the Bearcats' Braden Coates. Get a great look at it here. Watch number 3 in white and blue. This is going to come towards him. And it bounces off of him right to Troches. And Troches puts it away. A terrific job attempting to clear it by the furthest back defender for the Bearcats. Hit it off of his own guy right to the wrong guy for Grand Island. And Troches 2 goals in a matter of just a few minutes. That's how it can come when you have that elite talent like he has. When he gets the ball in a position to score, he does.
32nd and now a 35th minute goal by Moises Troches, and the Islanders have themselves a 2-0 advantage. And Kearney perhaps a little bit rattled here. GI now, for good reason, feeling quite confident.
Well, the Islanders really pushing down this left side. Don't know if that's just where the ball placement happens to be or if that's by design, if they're trying to attack Nutter. But they have gotten the best of Nutter, getting him to commit that push and then a whiff on the kick a moment ago. We'll see if the Islanders keep trying to work that left side. If you're the Islanders, keep the pressure on. You have the Bearcats on the heels. They're just hoping to get to halftime. If you're GI, push that ball.
And they're one back by Nutter. He's going to move it forward. Finds Slaymaker, dropped off to Schwartz. Now Straka, who has moved out wide. And that is excellent defending. It'll be a goal kick.
Oh, the JV squad for the Islanders sitting in the stands right now chanting overrated. Bearcats fans probably reminding them of how much time's left in this match.
Things can certainly change quickly in the game of soccer, but all the momentum with the Islanders as time continuing to wind down here in this first half. 2-0. GI Moises Troches striking twice in a 3-minute span after the Bearcats had primarily been in charge for the majority of this half. Officials are discussing something here as we're at about 3 minutes and 32 seconds. The clock has stopped.
Just a quick discussion there, and we'll resume play. Officials communicating amongst each other, and there's the go-ahead sign. We're back at it. Again, the Islanders work that left side.
So Garner trying to bomb forward. Physical defense by Davalos. Garner still with it, sends it dangerously to the 18. And a shot that was going far post, takes a deflection and skitters just wide, coming from Schwartz.
Big moment here in this first half. Bearcats down on themselves. A chance to steal away some momentum towards the end of the half.
Back post ball, and it is headed wide.
Great chances for the Bearcats in the first half. Does not translate to goals. The Islanders have converted on fewer chances. Have that lead, still some time to work, and the ball.
Reminder that the Central Nebraska El Clasico is presented by Liberty First Credit Union and Banking with Purpose. Find out more at libertyfirstcu.com. It's also presented by Tom Dinsdale Automotive. They're delivering great deals, outstanding service, and supporting a wide variety of community causes at Tom Dinsdale Auto. Just under 2 minutes remaining. Will we see another goal before the break? All of the scoring action coming in the final 8 minutes of the opening 40.
On 90 seconds here. Another fine play by that back line, Grand Island. They've certainly bent, but have not surrendered that goal. It was Ventura that time, slowing down the Kearney attack.
We're officially under a minute. 2-0 your score on the Aurora Cooperative scoreboard. Go green with E15. Fill up at your nearest A stop today. A long throw. It takes a bounce.
Bearcats want the touch by the keeper there, and they aren't going to get it.
Just a few inches above the crossbar. And Roberts will take his time here. Trying to let this clock wind down. Now officially under 30 seconds to go. Perhaps one more chance here for the Islanders on the left foot of Troch as he's denied the first half hat trick. Be sure to stay tuned for our Sartor Heyman Jewelers halftime highlights that are coming up just around the corner at Sartor Heyman Jewelers. They'll help make your jewelry dreams come true. A lot of Grand Island highlights will be coming your way as they lead 2-0 after the first 40 minutes. Central Nebraska El Clasico here on News Channel Nebraska. We'll be back with halftime stats, highlights, and analysis.
Farming is no 9 to 5, and working safe is a must. This planting or spraying season, look up and look out for power lines. Stay 20 feet away and use caution when folding or unfolding equipment because they're counting on you to be in the stands, to be at the dinner table, to come home safe. Nebraska Public Power District, always there when you need us.
NCN Sports is sponsored by Landmark Implement. Experience the Landmark Implement difference. Tom Dinsdale Auto, celebrating 20 years. Tom Dinsdale Automotive is proud to be community driven. And by Mary Lanning Healthcare, your care, our inspiration.
Let your next adventure take flight in Sarpy County, Nebraska for some high-flying fun. Legendary family adventures. Out-of-this-world shopping, star-studded evenings, and award-winning experiences. Our flights are never canceled. Stay, play, and plan your getaway at GoSarpy.com.
Welcome back to Grand Island Senior High, currently in the Columbus Community Hospital halftime show, and it's the home team Islanders with the 2-0 advantage. Brandon Axman, Michael Shively with you. And Michael, an action-packed first half, all of the goals coming in those final 8 minutes, but you know, what do you think Coach Scott Steinbrook is saying to his team right now?
I don't think he's liking where they're at. Grand Island took complete control of this match in the last 10 minutes of action. They were the aggressor. They were the better team. They got the ball to their star player in positions to score, and he converted. Kearney certainly looked like the better team for the first 15, 20 minutes of action. They were not after that, and Coach Steinbrook reminding his team likely that they can put up some offense. They can score some goals. You look at what they've done recently, and in 5 of their last 6 matches, they've scored at least 3 goals. So they're an offense that is liable to put together some runs, get some goals, get back into this match, but they're going to be working against a team that is going to be as patient as they can be. They won't be afraid, Grand Island, to send that ball back, eat some clock time, so the Bearcats, the faster that they can start to chip away, the better.
Something perhaps that the Bearcats might look back on. What Coach Steinbrook said was their best win up to this point was a victory over Columbus back on March 27th. They were trailing 1-0 at halftime, came out of halftime, scored 3 times in the opening 15 minutes of the second half, jumped on the Discoverers, ended up winning that one 3-2. So, yes, to your point, they have a history and a record of this season being able to make adjustments and apply them early on in the second half that we'll be about seeing in 5 minutes.
This Grand Island team, they're loving everything about where they're at right now. They got embarrassed 8 days ago, losing by 10 goals. To think about where you're at as a locker room after a match like that, getting just run out of the place, and then to regroup, get a victory against Lincoln High, then go against your rival, who is a 6-4 club that you've lost to the last 4 times you've played them, to be ahead 2-0 at half. They couldn't have asked for anything better.
The other interesting thing too, Kearney much better offensively with 20 goals this season. Grand Island with just 9. They have not scored more than 2 goals in a game yet. Goals are hard to come by for the Islanders, yet they find themselves with 2 currently at the break. As we take a look at our Starter Heyman Jewelers halftime highlights. At Starter Heyman Jewelers, they have stunning engagement collections, exceptional diamonds, and dazzling gemstones that can be found at either of their Lincoln or Grand Island locations. And here we go early on when Kearney was in control, creating a lot of opportunities. There is Ashton Roberts coming off his line to snatch away the ball before Kearney can do more damage. This was the best chance early on for the Bearcats, and it was Straka who put a couple defenders on skates. More heroics by Roberts, and then followed up with a deflection by Kelvin Castillo to make sure that didn't find the back of the net. But still, Kearney, Michael, had more chances after that Straka opportunity.
Yeah, this is a team that controlled the first 20 minutes of action. They were getting what they wanted, whether it was a set piece or otherwise, but then Grand Island flipped the switch.
They absorbed that pressure, sort of grew into that first half, and here's where it first comes. Goal kick. A little bit of a defensive miscue by the Bearcats, and then Johnny Pedroza, the perfect square ball, finding Moises Troches, and the Islanders strike first. This goal coming in the 32nd minute. Wouldn't be but a few minutes later, Michael, before Troches would find the back of the net for a second time.
And not too different of a situation here either. It was after Kearney got a stop, and the ball finds an Islander, and it finds Troches.
Goal kick headed to the middle. Kearney tries to clear, takes a deflection, and Troches credit him for being heads up. Scissor kicks it in, and you have a 32nd minute goal, a 35th minute goal, 2 goals in a 3-minute span, and the Islanders jump on the Bearcats before the break. And you look at these stats too, which, you know, could be interpreted as encouraging or discouraging if you're Coach Scott Steinbrook. You've outshot the Islanders 5 or 6 rather to 3. You have 3 shots on target to Grand Island's 2, but it just shows you how soccer can be a funny game, because Islanders 2 shots on goal found the back of the net. Kearney's 3 shots, they have no goals to show for it.
Yeah, you can own possession for 75 of the 80 minutes and lose by several goals. And it's not that extreme in this match, but Grand Island took advantage of its opportunities. Kearney just missed, and that's the way the game is. But good news for both sides. There's 40 more minutes left that could completely change the script of this contest or reinforce that the Islanders are the better squad today.
Those were your Starter Heyman Jewelers halftime highlights as a part of the Columbus Community Hospital halftime show. 2-0 at the break. We're 2 minutes from second half action here on News Channel Nebraska.
The halftime report on NCN is sponsored by Columbus Community Hospital, where your health matters. NCN Sports is brought to you by Currency. Visit GoCurrency.com for details. By Central Nebraska Orthopedics, dedicated to the motion of life. And by Region 4 Behavioral Health, quality mental health and substance abuse services.
At Nebraska Orthopedic Center, they provide comprehensive orthopedic health care. Their physicians are highly skilled in all areas of orthopedic and sports medicine, including spine surgery, foot and ankle, hand and upper extremities, fracture care, and total joint replacement. Their expertise includes the medical management of injuries through physical and rehabilitative methods or surgical intervention. To schedule an appointment or to learn more about Nebraska Orthopedic Center and their family of 25 physicians, go online to nebraskaortho.com. That's nebraskaortho.com. Nebraska Orthopedic Center is your healing destination.
NCN Sports is sponsored by Husker Rehab, treating the cause of pain, not just the symptoms. Schaefer's, we are more than just TVs and appliances. Clayball Pharmacy, your locally owned hometown pharmacy.
Welcome back. Brandon Axement and Michael Shively with you as we prepare for second half action here. Central Nebraska El Clasico in Grand Island. The home team Islanders leading 2-0. We'd like to remind you before we get to match action, if you haven't yet, follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter. At NCN Sports is the handle. Michael, we have 11.5 thousand followers who enjoy our sports content, highlights, interviews, rankings, stories, game updates, all right there at NCN Sports.
Hey, I'm one of those followers, and happy to see later tonight we'll get our interviews out. Don't know who it's going to be with yet, but someone's going to be holding a cup during that interview, and they're going to be quite proud.
At NCN Sports, again, we've been known, and I think we can throw it out here right now. If you follow us, we perhaps will give you a shout out if you tweet a picture, letting us know where you're watching, who you're cheering for, any of those fun things. We also have been known to give shout outs for that. So at NCN Sports, we promise you will enjoy the follow if you're a sports fan.
Tuesday night broadcast here, Brandon. Great to get to you early in the week when it's a matchup of this stature. We have to make sure we're here, and we are. We're taking the Tuesday night. We're going to bring you this Central Nebraska El Clasico, understanding the gravity of this matchup.
And when you look at this at a historical context, too, we talked about, obviously, clearly a big rivalry for both programs. These two teams have played 10 times over the past 10 years. Kearney leading 6-4 in the win department. But of those 10 games, 9 of them have been decided by a goal or less. Or I guess you can't be less by 1 goal is the appropriate way to say it, as Kearney is leading a charge by Straka. There's only been 1 game. That was a 3-0 victory for Kearney in 2019, as there's a dangerous shot going in, saved by Roberts. But where it wasn't a 1-goal game is the point I was trying to get at. This game is historically close.
2-1 last year, 3-2 the year before that, 2-1 in 2021. Didn't play 2020. The spring sports season canceled because of the pandemic that year. I imagine if they had played, would have been 1-goal difference.
And if you want more historical context, the last time the Islanders won this, 2018. That was a 1-0 shootout victory in Kearney.
Now, Bearcats known for being a team that comes out to the start of the second half with some offense. Talked about that a bit at the break. See if they're able to get some chances and perhaps convert on 1 or 2 of them.
And again, we saw that highlight at halftime of Straka where he was playing in the centered forward role and created that opportunity. Didn't see a whole lot from him since. It appears that Steinbrook has now moved him out wide to the left, a position he did play last year, so a little bit of a different offensive wrinkle. You're not playing that centered forward spot, but instead you're out wide on the wing.
Again, this is a team that loves the counter. That hasn't been their chances, really, in this match.
And Slaymaker heads it towards the back post.
And they're likely not going to get too many chances at the counter because Grand Island up 2 goals. They're not going to be forcing the issue on their side offensively very often. Sun has mostly set here in Grand Island, where there were some situations that players may be looking into the sun. No longer the case. The shadows engulfing Jack Martin Field at Memorial Stadium.
So Pedroza started the game on the back line, now back up in his more traditional role of the attack, and you see the foot skills there. Gets past his defender, good recovery by Coates, but GI wins a corner.
Well, so impressed by this Islanders team. The club that was really struggling, had that losing record 3-4 before the win at Lincoln High, and look what streak they put together since then. And if they hold on here, a season-defining type of moment.
Here's the corner from Colson. Sent back in the 6-yard box. Chance to recycle, sent it back towards the far post. Grand Island having some opportunities. High kick, the call, so that goal not counting. Official blew the whistle for a high kick.
Good chances for the Islanders in there. Put a couple of good balls. All of them safe. They're putting pressure on the Bearcats.
We are 4.5 minutes into this second half. It's brought to you by Husker Rehab.
What a ball here.
Treating the cause of the pain, not just the symptoms. Here comes Kearney. Trying to cut it inside. Excellent defense. That by the right back for the Islanders, Mauricio Davalos. And here's an opportunity. Troches is through on goal. And he took a little bit too much time. Eli Randolph with the closing speed. One touch too many, Michael.
And he took those extra couple of steps to get ready to fire it with that left foot. Enough time for Randolph to make up the ground. A star running back for the Bearcats football team showed off his speed to catch up to Troches. That looked like, you're thinking hat trick right there. Troches, we know how dangerous he is when he has just the keeper to beat, and that was the situation. But he let the defense catch up.
Those are moments that you pray for and lick your lips when you have, but they're so few and far between. It's almost like when you're left too wide open for a three-pointer in basketball. You're not expecting it. And then you start to think a little bit. You saw Troches there. He just hesitated, took maybe a touch too long, and it allowed Randolph to recover. Grand Island, though, another chance potentially here.
No, but again, Brandon, that was defense to offense for Grand Island. A terrific stop after a magnificent through ball, and Gordy Garner there on the left side for the Bearcats had a clean tackle against him that allowed the Islanders to just flip the field immediately. It was a defense making a fine stop.
Ambitious shot going wide of the target.
Now Garner, a guy that we spotlighted as our key player. Haven't seen too much of him, whether it's midfield or the attacking side. He's working that left side now. He's going to not quite get a touch on this one.
He's going to try to chase down the ball, and it's booted away by Roberts.
Different level of confidence for Grand Island. You can see it just in their body language and their stature, how they're carrying themselves. They're moving faster. They're standing straight up, and this is a team that went from unsure of itself to full belief in a matter of 2 goals in 3 minutes.
Well, and going back to that dreadful Lincoln Southwest game we've hit on a few times, Coach Panowitz said we could have thrown it in after that game when we turned around, switched up our formation, moved a lot of our players around, and he said, to be honest, I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen on the pitch against the Lynx. But, you know, thankfully for him and the Islanders, they answered the call, responded. And here's a chance to potentially make it a 3-0 game. But to your point, they responded and got that one against Lincoln High, and that is carried over to this game. Trying to find Straka on the deep ball, and it goes out of play for a throw.
Oh, Grand Island hosting a tennis invite earlier during that JV soccer matchup. A baseball team in action this evening as well. This is such a great time in the high school sports calendar. You turn into April. You hope that you're past the brutal weather section of the spring schedule, and you're just under a month away from some postseason action. Whether it's soccer, golf, of course, track and field we have for you on NCN. Tennis championships. It's a great time to be a high school sports fan. These games right now starting to matter a bit more in the back half of the schedule. Conference tournament time. You mentioned HAC conference next week for soccer. We have it Thursday at the championships for the Heartland Athletic Conference in baseball. That action gets underway in Lincoln tomorrow between the high school baseball teams, both Kearney and Grand Island. I think they have great chances at that in the top 5 seeds in baseball too. Really fun time, and so of course we're going to be right there for it.
Den Hartog Thursday night, approximately 6 p.m. first pitch. It's always fun. They play the 2 semifinals and then go right to that championship. So semifinal 1 is at noon on Thursday. Then you have a half-hour break after that one ends. Play that second semifinal. Have another half-hour break, and then we're into the championship. That'll be live statewide on NCN. And again, so it's baseball this Thursday. Then next week it's boys HAC championship for soccer on Wednesday, followed by the girls HAC championship on Thursday. Ten minutes gone here in the second half. 2-0 still your score. Both goals coming in the first half. Both goals coming from Moises Troches. 32nd goal and a 35th minute goal, giving the Islanders the current 2-0 advantage. Failed clearance by the Islanders. A little bit dicey as Kearney applies additional pressure. And GI sort of rather reasserts control and booms it forward, searching for Troches.
Well, Coach Panowitz, one thing he was nervous about was making a silly mistake. Thinking that you had an easy clearance, taking it too easy, giving up a chance, something like that. He said, we cannot afford to do that, especially in the first half. The Islanders have been crisp. They have not made the silly mistake once.
Pedroza drops it. A little bit too much on that ball. It was searching for the back post. Slaymaker clears. This will give Straka a chance to run on if it stays in play. And the senior leading goal scorer for the Bearcats keeps it in. Now he's holding it up, turns, gets past his defender, heavy touch, gets away from him.
Now the Bearcats really pushing it, trying to be the aggressor, knowing they're down a couple goals, but didn't get a crisp chance there. Looked like a team that was trying to force it.
Nice throw from Hibbert. It finds Straka on the bounce. Ball up the line. Sent out of play for a Bearcat throw. Another chance for their trademark long throw into the box.
All it takes is one to flip that momentum, get your guys feeling good about themselves again.
So Krotzel will take this monster throw. Dangerous ball in, finds Slaymaker, and it goes just wide of the near post.
Oh, you mentioned that trademark long throw. It's a really tough throw. You have to get so much on it, and it needed just a bit more there, and then it could have been a situation where you get it off of the chest or a different part of the body and able to nudge it in, but wide of the goal there, never made it as far as it needed to.
Bearcats charging forward but lose it. There's some space here in the middle of the pitch for the Islanders.
Not panic time yet if you're Kearney. Still plenty of time to play your game. 26 minutes down, 2 goals. Again, an offense that especially against lesser competition, recent matches, but they've had a lot of success finding the back of the net. Don't stray from your game plan yet. Once you get towards that 10-minute mark, you might need to start thinking about doing something more than you are.
Slaymaker dispossessed. Troches heads it up to keep it from actually going back to Hibbard. Pedroza and trying to do the 1-2. Back to Troches. Gets it on his left foot. Shots blocked. Well done by that Bearcat back line.
Yanks that, trying to get it up ahead to a fellow Bearcat there to the midfielder. Nice job splitting 2 defenders there.
Pedroza crosses it, and it's off Hibbard's hands. That looked like it had potential to find the far upper 90.
Islanders are playing better soccer right now. And some mishits on occasion by the Bearcats. Islanders have had the more quality chances in half number 2. And since that about 10-minute mark remaining in the first half.
And that header would have found the back of the net had you not had Randolph on the back post. Did that very nonchalantly, but he was positioned where he needed to be, and that's why you do that.
And this is the correct call here. They're just saying it was off Randolph. He did touch it. You see him just in front of that line. My goodness.
Calm, cool, collected, and as long as he wasn't behind the line, which he wasn't, that's exactly what you want to do as a defender.
That's a moment as a coach, you're like, that's why I told you to be there. That's why we designed it that way. And I think it caught him by surprise a little bit. He didn't move after it hit him. Probably didn't have a chance to keep it in play. But he was frozen for a second.
Pedroza with it here on the near wing. Swings it across the 6-yard box nearly. Kearney clears it out. So that confidence from what the Islanders gained with those 2 late goals in the first half have carried over to the second, where the Islanders going toe-to-toe, and you might even say they're the one that's more in the driver's seat this second half, which was the opposite, the flip of how this game started.
Yeah, you felt like it was inevitable that Kearney was going to find a goal there in the first half, and then 10 minutes to go in that half, and everything flipped. Grand Island became the team that was in control. Once they got that first goal, they had all the confidence that you could have. It's translated, and they have been the better team here in half number 2. But as we said, it can flip in a hurry. It did for Grand Island in that first half. It could do the same for Kearney in the second. But this Islander team is going to be mighty patient with it.
And as you see here, Roberts saying you're going to have to apply some pressure before I pick this thing up. It's never too early to throw, depending on your philosophy. But if you're the winning team, every second we can bleed, we'll do it when we can.
That noise was foot on ball, both sides. Clean action.
Islanders attempting to switch it there. Doesn't find a black jersey, and it'll be a throw for Kearney.
Good showing here by Grand Island. You mentioned their offense. maximum of 2 goals in a game this season. Looks like Bearcats bringing in a sub. Heading to the sideline is Braden Bergston, sophomore forward, who had been in momentarily. This Grand Island squad, though, just 4 goals in their last 4 games total. Put together 2 in a 3-minute span in the first half.
Jorge Calmo going for the far post off the throw. Kearney back line, dealing with the threat. Straka now with it, trying to start a counter. Heavy collision, and it's going to be a Kearney free kick. So while we get ready for it, a reminder this second half is brought to you by Visit Lincoln here on News Channel Nebraska. You can find out more at visitlincoln.com, formerly known as Lincoln Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Diving stop by Roberts. Didn't really feel the danger there. It was a long shot, but a good shot still by the Bearcats. Roberts has played a fine game, denying chances at the goal.
We are at officially pretty much the halfway point of this second half, and we remain scoreless, 2-0 at halftime. Straka, though, got past his defender, but the assistant referee says he was out of bounds. So Grand Island quickly takes the throw.
I think that was the right call.
Pedroza trying to go right at Randolph. Randolph does enough.
Temperature dropping a bit here tonight. It started in the upper 60s. Still mighty comfortable, but down to 59. Nice and crisp evening. Starting to feel like spring. Grand Island, spring means new life. New life for this squad midway through the season. Perhaps a season-defining moment 19 minutes away.
Another ball from Pedroza. Calmo sends it in, and that's not going to bother Hibbard.
Troches for Grand Islands now goals in 3 straight matches. Started the season pretty hot, had a little bit of a lull, but the lone goal for the team back on April 1st, that defeat against Lincoln Southwest, then had a goal against Lincoln High. So he's enjoying his April, 4 goals, 3 games. Now, who's it going to be for Kearney? Do you just hammer it home to Straka, just say get it on his foot? He's the guy with 9 of your 20 goals this season, one of the best attackers in the state. Do you just pound it to him and try to get him to make a play, or use him as a decoy? What do you do? But you got to do something right now.
And we saw in those halftime highlights Straka creating a very dangerous moment early on in this contest, but since then, Grand Island has done a good job containing Kearney's talisman. And this clock continues to wind down. Islanders still holding on to the 2-0 advantage as we have a free kick awarded to GI.
There's Randolph there coming up, putting the body on the Islanders. Grand Island owning the possession this half. Kearney has been able to deny them a goal. They've had some clearances, but they've all gone out of bounds. They haven't gone into the forward side of the field to lead to some counterattack opportunities. They haven't had them.
Free kick by Hernandez. That's a good ball, and it's just mistimed. May have been Panowitz. Was unable to get it on his head.
The numbers really small there on the front of the Grand Island jerseys. Purple on black on top of that in the night sky. Would not have been my choice in the broadcaster-friendly color scheme.
We're doing our best. They got the white trim, so at least there's that.
That is helpful.
But it's
having called
we're doing what we can.
Nebraska football game one time as a student when Rutgers was silver on white.
Yes.
We'll take this, but that blue on the white sure stands out for the Bearcats.
There's the switch, believed to Hernandez. Now Troches. He's going to take it on his left foot. That is a rip. Side netting. Hat trick, Moises Troches. Perhaps the nail in the coffin here for the Central Nebraska El Clasico. That was a screamer. 28 yards out, and my, oh my.
Nothing Nathan Hibbard could do there, the keeper for the Bearcats, helpless. A few steps to get into it, delivered a beautiful strike with that left foot, put it in near the upper 90 there on the left side. Picture perfect. First hat trick of the season for Troches, third of his career. And it comes in the Central Nebraska El Clasico. Couldn't be a better moment for the senior and the biggest rivalry match of the season for his squad.
And the Bearcats shell-shocked right now with just over 15 minutes to go. The Islanders in complete control, again in a fixture that 9 of the last 10 times these teams have met, it's been a 1-goal contest. But GI right now leading by 3 with 15 and a half to play. Kearney's going to have to just start getting a lot of bodies forward now, and the odds are clearly against them, but you never say never. But that third goal, a big one for GI. Dangerous ball sent in across the 6-yard box. Islander defenders are there.
Oh, filth by Garner there to get himself free for that cross. Didn't yield anything. Story of the night for the Bearcats.
Offsides is the call. Free kick, Kearney.
And not a situation the Bearcats want to be in. This isn't their strength. Needing 3 goals in a short period of time.
Talk about showing up when you need to. Hat trick for Troches, of course. Great individual effort, but the most goals Grand Island has scored in a match this season. Goals have been few and far between. Coach Panowitz said coming into the season he thought that potentially could be one of the weaknesses. Up to this point it has been. But against your biggest rival in a big game with a lot at stake, you're now finding some offensive production more so than you have up to this point.
And you're doing it against a team that's known for its defense. They've allowed just 13 goals on the season over 10 matches. Grand Island has not made a big mistake. They've given up some chances, but it hasn't been from making a mistake. It's just been Kearney playing good ball and getting themselves in position. They haven't made that big mistake. So they never fell behind. Team trying to find its identity. If they had fallen behind, we could be looking at a totally different game right now, but they got a few stops early. Ball bounced their way. Got one to go their way, got their confidence, and haven't looked back. They think 4-0 sounds good. They're not going to stop at just 3 if they have something to say about it.
That ball rolls out of play.
A fatigue factor at this point in the match. If you're Kearney, you're sending it up with force, hoping that you can outrun the defense to get to the ball. later it gets in the match, the less likely that's going to be possible with some weary legs.
Twelve and a half to play. High school sports on News Channel Nebraska. Proudly presented by Currency. Does your business need help financing big ticket items? Currency's here to help. Visit gocurrency.com for details. Also presented by Liberty First Credit Union, banking with purpose. Find out more at libertyfirstcu.com. And last but not least, presented by Tom Dinsdale Automotive. Find out more by going to dinsdaleauto.com as they support community causes at Tom Dinsdale Auto. Troches having a game with the hat trick, looking for more. Taking on Kearney defenders, now up to Pedroza. Good 1-2, just a little bit too heavy.
Going to stop action here for a moment. Clock still winding. I will resume at the throw just for a substitution.
Colson has a go. Well high. Can't blame the man for giving it a shot. It's now 6 shots, 4 on target for Grand Island as opposed to 8 total shots for Kearney, also with 4 on target. So where the stats offensively were skewed in Kearney's favor at the break, despite the fact that Grand Island had a 2-0 advantage, Grand Island has now basically evened the statistics and created a lot more offensive production and opportunities here in this half hour since the halftime break.
And we thought, maybe they'd just play some ball controls, keep sending it back, moving it to the midfield, send it back. No, they've been able to maintain possession while being aggressive in their attacking third and converting it.
Moises Troches, the hat trick, goals in the 32nd minute. 3 minutes later in the 35th to give Grand Island a 2-0 advantage at the halftime break. And most recently, the hat trick coming in the 64th minute. A rip from about 28 yards. It hit the side netting and has given Grand Island a very comfortable lead as we are now under 10 minutes to go in the Central Nebraska El Clasico.
Grand Island still keeping that possession. They're going to be careful with it from now on.
And unless things change dramatically, as here's a good cross, falls for a shot that goes high. Grand Island searching for the 4th goal.
Who was I to say they're going to be careful with it? No, this is your rival. You haven't beat them since 2018. They weren't even in high school, these players. Last time this program won over Kearney High, and they're going to push it forward as best as they can, more than secure in their 3-0 advantage.
Be sure to stay tuned for our Sarpy County Tourism Coaches post-game interview. Stay playing and plan your getaway at gosarpy.com. If this result holds, we'll be talking to James Panowitz in his second full season leading this Grand Island program in what would be one of his better wins, you would say, as his tenure
no doubt,
as a Grand Island head coach, coming just a week and a day after what he said was one of the program's darkest results in history, being mercy ruled by Lincoln Southwest last Monday. Game not even going the full 80 minutes after falling down by 10 goals with 7 minutes to play. What a turnaround.
Storylines tonight, right, Brandon? And just anytime we get the chance to broadcast Kearney Grand Island, regardless of the sports, you jump at that chance. Then you throw in the storylines of a program like Kearney trying to get back to state. Chance here for GI.
This is Trochus, puts it on his left foot again, this time crosses off the head, and Hibbard.
It's not Hibbard anymore, that's Dane McClary, the junior, just came in. Substitution a moment ago. McClary having to leap sideways. Didn't even disrupt the mullet in doing so.
Well, how about no time to warm up? And credit to McCleary. Interestingly, to that point, Coach Steinbrook said, I said, Coach, do you have any other human interest stories you want to tell us about? He said, we have 2 really good backup goalkeepers behind Hibbard, who's just been the standard the past 4 years. And if nothing else, that would display that Coach Steinbrook knows what he's talking about.
Well, I don't think anybody's ever questioned that, regardless of what the final in a match might be. You're not questioning what these coaches know about the game.
McCleary there again with a deflection, but not out of trouble, off the woodwork. Another shot by Grand Island, and it doesn't go on frame, but my oh my.
Dane McClary, a junior, and you imagine next year will be his moment in the sun, but thrown into the fire. It's a cliche for a reason. He just was forced to make save after save and executed it. And this 3-0 deficit has nothing to do with Hibbard. He did not make poor plays resulting in these goals. It was Grand Island having excellent chances and converting. But McClary getting a chance here in a match that's decided, making some plays. You love to see it if you're a Bearcat fan.
And there he is again, coming off his line.
And did a fine job in the JV match, assuming that was him in the net. 1-0 final there in favor of the Islanders. I mentioned those storylines, Brandon. A Kearney team that missed out on the state tournament. They lost in double OT, their final game last season. And this year thinking this is the chance mid-season. They're on a roll. Really tough section of the schedule coming up. Get a win here, who knows? Grand Island storylines, a team trying to find itself, and that storyline winning out, it appears they have found themselves.
And an opportune time to do that as well, because as mentioned earlier, this result as Pedroza has a chance to take it on his left foot before it's cleared. This result will ensure that the Islanders will have an opportunity next week to play for that Heartland Athletic Conference Tournament Championship in that gold division, where the top 4 teams in the conference get to play for that trophy. The winner of this game was ensured they would be in the top 4. The loser ensured they won't be in the top 4 for next week's conference tournament, I should say. So another thing the Islanders can hang their hats on as they're finding their form. Under 5 to go as this cross attempted to be sent in. Kearney dealing with it.
All Islanders right here. And so you look ahead, and if you're a coach and you find your form, right, your team starts playing well, you don't want a week off. You don't want a bye week when your football team's playing its best. And Grand Island here, they have a lot of games in quick succession. 2 days from now, Lincoln Pines. 2 days after that, Fremont. All of them at home, and then the Heartland Athletic Conference Tournament. So if this team can keep its form, a couple of 4-win teams at home, you could put together a 4-win streak heading into that conference tournament play. Chance to make some noise there against some quality opponents. Build that wild card point to look. Right now sitting 14th. Get yourself to the top end of the 2 seeds, and don't go too crazy. You might not get that 1, but certainly make it an excellent push in the back half of the season if you keep this form. Reverse is true for Kearney. They have just a brutal section of the schedule to finish out the year. Bearcats have Omaha Central, who's 6-2, good Pius team. Finished the year against a Norfolk team that's record might be a bit inflated at 8-1, but you can't sleep on that. Still a fantastic season for the Panthers.
Sitting at 8-1, and depending on how things shake out, there's still a few games to be played before the seeding goes out for that HAC tournament we've been alluding to in that gold bracket. But Norfolk has the chance to be the host of the Gold Division Boys HAC Soccer Tournament, which, again, that's not something you're accustomed to hearing when you talk about that Norfolk soccer program, but they have something working right now, and we may be up in Norfolk next week, depending on how some fixtures play out over the next couple of days.
Oh, that would sure be fun. You know, Norfolk High getting excited about that. A program that's been building. Do you know, are they co-oping with Lutheran High Northeast, Norfolk Catholic, or are those two co-oping in a lower class?
Historically, those two have co-opted together. I believe that's the case currently, but don't quote me yet. We'll do some
Norfolk
NSA
High
research.
doing that solo outside of the Metro, one of the smaller schools in Class A. Mighty impressive to see them in a more niche sport in the state of Nebraska to have that type of record. You really got to tip the cap to what the Panthers have put together.
And the bracket for the HAC will come out Friday. So that's, while there may be some games Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week that will be played before that official seeding goes into effect and is announced. We're less than 2 minutes to play here in Grand Island. The Central Nebraska El Clasico is going to go to the Islanders. As mentioned, the first time Grand Island has defeated Kearney since 2018. This will be the first time that they will have the Central Nebraska El Clasico Cup in their possession. 2019 was when the actual physical trophy was made a part of this fixture, and since that time, Kearney has won every matchup. But that has changed here tonight with Moises Troches' heroics, the hat trick, and a stalwart performance by the Islanders. What looks like will be a shutout victory over their rivals, Kearney.
Islanders just going to hold on to this one. And how about this effort by their defense? Troches, rightfully so, the story of this match, a hat trick. But don't forget about their defense. Kearney had great chances. They were stopped. That is how this Grand Island team had the opportunity to grab a first-half lead. They got confident, and they took advantage of it. Excellent win by the Islanders.
40 seconds to go. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage here tonight. Tuesday night soccer. Michael will be talking to head coach Panowitz and our Nebraska Orthopedic Center player of the game as part of our post-game show. As we're now less than 30 to go. But Grand Island putting in the performance and getting the result against their rivals and what could springboard them for a very strong second half of the season. This will be the first winning streak the Islanders have had thus far. They've won one, lost one, won one, lost one. Well, now they've won 2 in a row. And it becomes official as the clock hits 0. 3-0 your score. The Islanders dispatch Kearney in the Central Nebraska El Clasico. The first victory for the Islanders over Kearney since 2018. They'll be taking home the Central Nebraska El Clasico Cup for the first time, and they improved to 5-4 with the win. Stay with us here on News Channel Nebraska. We're going to take a quick break, come back with our postgame. Top plays, head coach and player of the game interviews, all on the way.
All right, get me framed up.
Yep, you want to...
They'll be over here. So you get the light behind me.
Exactly.
Well, no, that's not.
Stay connected and kills a lot. Yeah, exactly. Center field, because I got that small soft light here, that hard light right over here. Awesome. Yes. Perfect. And then go ahead and test it real quick, Michael.
Test. 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 Test.
He can jump. He's good in the air. I got you. I'll count you down. Problem has been, and then we can do Moises first. Has been coming off his line and attacking the ball. And so in the Lincoln High game in the second half, are we ready? Yeah, we're ready. We'll just wait. He had to come off his line. Okay. Yep. Oh, yep. We'll take coach first. Okay. All right. Okay. I just want to make sure they can get theirs. Gotcha. What side?
This side. Yep.
Alrighty. All right. Ready, Connor? Okay, ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Islanders victorious against their rival Kearney, and they get to do it at home. I'm with the victorious Coach Panowitz. What's it feel like? This is your first win as head coach against Kearney High.
Yes. I think some people would say, is it the monkey off your back? We had to play them twice last year, regular season and in the conference tournament. And, those were both really close 2-1 games. So I didn't lose confidence in the group last year or this year, but I'll tell you what, anytime you get to beat Kearney, unbelievably coached team, a physical team, a team that plays with just grit and effort, it's a pretty prideful night for our program.
Kearney was the aggressor early. They had some terrific chances. They didn't capitalize, though. What switched for your team with about 10 to go there in the first half?
I think we actually just settled down a little bit. That's one thing that we've been struggling with this year is in possession. We get a little frantic, a little clunky. We maybe avoid the seeing the more dynamic pass. And obviously, down here in this corner, Johnny Pedrosa just – and he's one of those ones where we need to kind of slow him down once in a while. And he, got his head up, found Moises, who just had a very typical Moises finish and was able to put it in. But with that said, like you just said, I was really worried at halftime. I think we tracked it. I think Kearney had close to 15 set pieces. And when we play Kearney, we count, and not many teams do this, but we count the throw-ins they get in our defensive third because they always get someone that can throw it long. And then anything beyond midfield, if we have a bad foul or something, we count that as a set piece because that's when they send everybody forward and they're just monsters in the box. So we gave them too many in the first half, but I felt like we defended them real well. There was a couple that were close, and then we made it an emphasis to just kind of try to avoid some of those dumb fouls and just prevent and reduce the number of set pieces they got because we honestly thought up 2-0, worst score in soccer, as people say. And as much as good as Kearney is, if we give them one of those just set pieces or any type of play, that game can be completely different than the way it ended up.
In the big picture of the season, just 8 days ago, you lost by 10 goals. Then you get a win, and now you get a 3-0 win over your arch rival. What's this say about this team, and what can this team still do?
Well, you tell me, because I'm still trying to figure it out. But against Southwest, they were like an all-star team that night. They looked like a U21 national team or something. And we allowed them early. They scored a few real early. Our kids gave great effort in that game, but we just were out of mix. And quite honestly, I thought that I was worried after that game because that's never happened in our program history. Since I've been a player, coach, been involved for 25 years in this program, that's never happened. So we kind of had to, Tuesday and Wednesday last week, we had some real gut checks and we had to have some real honest conversations. We didn't point the finger at the players. I pointed it at myself. I held myself accountable, and and the kids bought in to some of the formation and personnel changes we made. And quite honestly, this game was huge, but just as equally big was Lincoln High on Friday night. Lincoln High's 3-5. They don't give up much scoring. All their games are close. And for us to go on the road and pull out that victory, I think maybe helped with the little momentum coming into this game. It at least wiped away that Southwest result.
Well, Moises Troches is standing over there with the trophy. What's it like to have him on your team?
He is such a high pace, high work rate, passionate, flamboyant player, and sometimes that he gets caught up in that. And we've had a lot of conversations with him, understanding when he's the forward and when he's the striker. And tonight, I mean, we're all going to give him praise for his goals, but some of the play he did that aren't on the stat sheet is what's going to make me most proud when we watch this film, because I know what he can do finishing. Okay, I mean, I know what he can do shooting, but it's can he assist with the build-up and eventually get the ball back where we know he can finish, and he did that tremendously tonight, and I'm super proud of him.
Congratulations,
Thank
Coach.
you. I appreciate it very much.
We're going to bring in our player of the game, the guy who had a hat trick, Moises Troches, shaking the hand of his coach, bringing in the Central Nebraska El Clasico Cup. How's this feel, the first time in your high school career to have this trophy?
It's an amazing feeling, especially my senior year. The past years, it has always been a close game, and I've scored a goal every game, and this year to score the hat trick and finally bring the trophy home, it's an amazing feeling.
Well, this match started with Kearney High owning possession. They had chances at the goal, didn't get them.
Yep.
When you got that first, what was it like with seeing your team build confidence?
Well, yeah, we knew with the first goal it was just a step to the victory, but we couldn't be satisfied. There were still like 40, 60 minutes left, so I told the team, let's not be satisfied. Let's get 2-3 in, because we know that the previous years we always scored first, and then they came back. And this year, I had to make sure that we had the game in the bag.
Well, take me through the second goal. It was a slop there in the box, pinballing around, and then you get to about knee height to kick that one in.
Well, I seen Cody. He headed it back in, and I headed it in, and the keeper got a good save on it. And to be honest, I don't know how the ball came back, but I seen it coming, and I just one time hit it, and it went bottom left. I'm glad that went in.
And then in the second half, you fire it from 28 yards out. Did that one feel good off the boot?
Oh, yeah. I'd say that's my spot right there. A little cut in and then just lace it through the net.
What's next for this team? How can you build on this to finish the season strong heading into the postseason?
The Lincoln High game was a tremendous game from the Southwest game, and we knew that this game was going to be a very important game, and we overcame, and our team's going to sky up from here, and I know we're proving a lot of people wrong, and I want to thank God, the coaching staff, my teammates, and overall the supporters that came tonight. It was the biggest crowd that we had tonight, and we performed well, and we got the victory.
I'll enjoy holding on to that cup, Moises.
Thank you. It's going to be here for plenty more years.
That's the Grand Island Islanders. They are the winners of the Central Nebraska El Clasico. They get it done 3-0. A fantastic game. Thanks to everybody who made it possible here at News Channel Nebraska, our sponsors, the coaches, our great hosts at Grand Island Public Schools. On behalf of Brandon Axeman, I'm Michael Shively signing off. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.